think it's fair to say that the little C1 hasn't exactly been loved over the last year. It hasn't been on the channel for a while, and it's about time we did think about that. Hi everyone, welcome back to MEC-TEC. As I said, today we're going to be working on the little C1 and we need to do something about these bumpers. I've had a plan with this car ever since I got it to do a nice few little things to it, but they all sort of had to be done in a certain order. I know that sounds daft, but it's sort of one thing leads on to another, if that makes sense, as far as improving it. And the first thing I really wanted to do was get these bumpers off and get them repainted, get rid of all the lacquer peel that unfortunately these red cars seem to suffer with quite a lot. Now, obviously the C1s, 107s, Igos have all got quite a big following in their circles, but if another car guy saw you driving a C1, they probably wouldn't think twice at it. So I want to try and make this look a bit more like a car guy car, if that makes sense. So we are going to be doing some mods to it. We are going to be, as I say, doing the paint work, and we're going to give it a full, proper, nice, detailed machine polish and get it looking mint again. That is the plan anyway. So without further ado, I'm going to get on working on these bumpers now. You can see on the front bumper there, obviously the lacquer is peeling all over it, and it started off by the previous owner taking it to a car wash, and the jet wash got too close and it started peeling. So I'm actually going to continue with that, and as daft as it sounds, and I'm going to try and see if I can jet wash off as much of that lacquer as I can, because obviously it's going to save a lot of dust and a lot of sanding if I can get it all to come off that way rather than obviously going down the DA route and sanding it all off. The back bumper is already pretty much all gone. There is one section that's not, and that is because I think it's had a smart repair in the past. So the rear bumper will just need to come off, and we'll sand back the bit that's had the smart repair that's still got the paint left on it, or the lacquer I should say, and the rest of it is all already flat. So that's going to be the first job. I'm going to get the jet wash out, try and obviously get some more of this lacquer off and go from there. Let's get some work done. Right, just thought I'd show you a bit more up close before I start jet washing. As you can see, the bumper, as per most modern cars, is off colour before I've even touched it. So make a note of that. If I paint it and it ain't the right colour, it wasn't even the right colour to start with. So we're going to get it obviously as close as we can. This is covered in dirt, as you can see. It has been ultra reliable, this car. Never failed to start, got me everywhere I wanted to go, but it just hasn't had a bit of love, and that's what we need to do. So you can see it's all peeling down there. The whole middle section's gone. Now this was like a big spot when I first got it. It was like a bobble in the middle with all water under it, and I pulled it off and all the lacquer came off with it. So you can see right along there as well, loads of stone chips, loads of lacquer peel. As we go around the side there, you can see it there as well. So what I'm hoping is I can get the jet wash underneath one of these edges. You can see it flakes off fairly easily, and hopefully we might be able to jet wash the rest of it off with any luck. And if we can't, then obviously I'll have to sand it. So going around to the back, this is the corner that's good. You got up to there, and the reason I know it's had a smart repair is because this edge isn't actually just lacquer, it's got red in it as well. So it's obviously had to paint this corner painted, and as you can see the rest of it is completely flat. Really bad. That's a little bit of lacquer left there, look, on that corner. That's all that's left of it. The whole thing, for whatever reason, this bit around the number plate still got paint on it. Whether that's had the same treatment as that corner with the smart repair, I don't know. So that bit will need sanding, but there's no, it's sort of peeling slightly but not much. So yeah, let's get this jet wash out and see what happens. if anyone came and saw this now, they'd think there'd been a massacre on the drive. Look at the state of that. As you can see, I managed to get most of that red paint off. There's one little patch there, which I'm assuming is where they've actually keyed it up properly, and that's probably where the repair was, because there's a slight scuff down this arch and that's it. When I got round to this section, that was all just lacquer under there that was still on there, so I've got all the lacquer off, and as you can see, I've had a bit of a casualty. My badge fell off. So I'm going to have to sort that out along with the N. I've still got the N as well, that's in the garage. So that has actually worked quite well, as you can see by the floor. Now you probably think I'm mad doing it like this, but I didn't want to fill the garage up with loads of dust sanding it all off, because obviously I'm going to be painting in there. So I thought, well, if I do it this way, it minimises the dust. Now all the lacquer pretty much has come off that front bumper. You can see sort of remnants of it all over the floor there. So it proves that that corner's had something done to it, because obviously the front's clear and the rear was red. So let's get the bumpers off now and get them prepped up and painted. Right, if you'd seen my previous video on the C1 when I had the rear bumper off, it's quite easy to take off. You've got this bung here which has got a Torx, it's got a Torx head in the middle of it. One there, one there. You've got a 10mm bolt in there. I'm going to have to paint the fuel flap as well, because that started peeling as well. That's just, it's plastic as well, so that's probably why. On the arches, you've got a clip up here, and then there are two clips underneath. You can just about see them, hopefully. Where are they? Trying to see them without getting the sun in the camera. It's difficult because the sun's out, very bright out here today. Not a bad thing. Right, you can see there's a clip there on that tang there, and there's one on the other side as well over there. You can just see it hanging down, and that is literally all that holds that bumper on. It's not like holding it on at all. So I'll get that off. I think that's all that holds it on. Yeah, those funny little clips in there. With the front bumper, I've not actually had that off yet, so I don't know how that comes off. So I'll get the back bumper off first of all, then we'll move around to the front and we'll have a look at that, see how that one comes off. Right, there we go. That is the rear bumper off. Easy as that. So it's two Torx, one 10mm in the petrol flap, two clips underneath here, and two clips up in the arch. That's all that holds that on. So just show you the back of the car quickly. It's going to need a damn good clean under here, and we also need to sort out these vents at the back, because this is a common leak point on these, and as you can see, the seals on mine are starting to hang out a little bit. So I'm not going to get rid of those seals because they actually pack it out a little bit, so I'm actually going to try and glue them in there with maybe a little bit of polyurethane sealer, but we'll get to that when we get to putting the bumper back on, and obviously we'll clean all this up as well because it's pretty manky. Now with this fuel flap I've got to get off, it looks like it's just a cover. It's held on with three clips, one there, one there, one there, and that should just pop off, and it just goes over this corner here. So I'll get that off as well, because we need to paint that, because as I say, the lacquer started peeling on that too. It is only a plastic cover on that metal door, so we'll get that off, and then we need to look at the front bumper and obviously get that off. I'm not sure how that comes off. I've not had one off of there yet. I would imagine it's probably going to be fixing underneath the wheel arches, clips under the front, and a couple of bolts under the bonnet, I would assume. So we'll have a little look at that next and see exactly what we got. Right, having had a quick look at this, we've got a 10mm here and a clip. Same, oh no, you've got two 10mm this side. And we've also got a clip up on the edge of the arch there, same as the back one, just here. And I haven't actually looked under the front yet, but I would assume there's going to be some clips underneath there. Let me grab my kneeling pad and have a little look and see what we can see under there. Because now I've jet washed everywhere, it's all soaking wet. That's typical, isn't it? Alright, let's have a look. Looks like we've got a fix in there, which is a 10mm. So I'd imagine it's probably going to be the same both sides, and it's in like slider clips. So I'll get all these 10mm undone, get those clips out the arches, see if there's anything else holding it on, when I'll come back to you. Right, there we go, easy as that. So 3 10mm along the top, one clip. On the bottom there you can see the tabs, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got one in the corner and 3 in the middle. So 5 10mm along the bottom edge there, and then 2 clips in the arch. and then these pop out from these plastic runners that are on the wings, so you have to pull them out sideways, and that is that, and it comes off as easy as anything. So it's looking a bit bare now, the old C1. So now that's off, I can concentrate on obviously sorting the bumpers out. We can put the car back over the road. I'll stick the reg plate in the window. These plates were actually stuck on from new, hence why there's a piece of gaffer tape holding this one on, because the dicky pad started to fail on this one. I didn't want it to fall off, so as a temporary measure I stuck that on. I don't like plates when they're stuck on because they do tend to come off. Not, he says we're struggling to get this one off. Alright, hang on, let's put you down. Let's see if we can get this off. The back one came off pretty much no problem at all. There we go. Right, now we've got that off, we can put that in the windscreen so no one moans that it's an abandoned car or something. Right, I'm going to get the C1 put back over the road, and then we can concentrate on these bumpers, getting the grills out of them and getting them prepped and getting some base coat on them. Lovely jubbly. Right, now we've got all the jet wash put away. We need to get this moulding off of here and the lights out. That's all that needs to come off of this bumper, and obviously we need to get that manky tape off where the plate's been taped on. But the clips on the back are just these little sort of push through clips. There's loads of them right the way around this trim. So I'm going to spend a bit of time popping them out. We need to pop these cables out as well, like that. Pop that out of there. Pop that out of there. In fact, probably actually no, we can leave the cables in there actually, making them palaver this. Leave them cables in there and just unplug them from the lights, and then all you got to do then is unplug pop the lights out. I can't do it one-handed because their clips are all got mank all over them. Yeah, I can't do it one-handed, but yeah, unplug the lights from there, pop the housings out, and then obviously run around, get all these clips out, and then I'll come back to you when I've done that, because that's going to take a little while by the looks of it. Right, there we go, that is the rear bumper now stripped. As you can see, this is the plastic trim that goes on the back, and it's just held on with all these little clips all around the edges. You just have to sort of push them through. Be careful you don't break the bumper obviously when you do it. And with the lumber plate lights, obviously just unplug those, and they've just got little spring clips that you have to just squeeze in slightly and they just pop out easy as anything. So it's really easy to do. So now we'll move on to getting that front bumper stripped, which is going to be more of the same I would imagine, because it's just one big moulding and grill in the middle, which I would assume is held on the same way as this with the clips on the back. Let's have a little look actually while we're on the camera. Let's see. I won't worry about scratching it at the moment because I can lay it down on its front. Yeah, it's exactly the same. You can see actually some of it's popped out already. Yeah, something's probably nudged it in the past. So yeah, got loads of little clips around the edge. A couple of little metal clips on there as well, holding it on, which it looks like this side's missing, which is probably why it's popped off. So yeah, we'll get that all popped out, and then we can get on to starting to do some prep work and get this rest of this lacquer and paint that's not quite come off with the jet wash get off, because I think I've got most of it, but there's a few areas like there for example, not a lot. They just want a little rub down, and yeah, should be marvellous. Right, after much sanding, wet flatting and all the rest of it, that is what we've ended up with. Now as you can see, I have gone through in quite a few places through the red, which I wasn't planning on doing, but it's just one of those things, it's how it is. Obviously the paint wasn't very thick in certain places, so I'm going to put some primer on them, but only in the areas that it needs it, if that makes sense, because I don't want to prime the whole thing for no reason. It's pointless, it's a waste of material, and obviously red is the best base coat for red, so obviously I want to try and keep as much red as I can, but obviously the areas like along the bottom there are quite bad. I might do that whole bottom edge, just because that's obviously quite a big area that's sort of, you're not going to be able to just dust bits into that. I'll go up the sides there as well. So yeah, I'm going to get some, probably just some grey primer on there, just so that it's covered, not bare plastic. And then we can give it a little flat down again with some 600 wet, and then hopefully it might be ready to accept some red paint, and obviously then some lacquer after that. Top banana. Yeah, alright, who's thinking out there? He's kidding himself, he's going to end up priming basically the whole bumper. Well yeah, you're probably right, I've run out of paint though, so just did enough to do that, what I've done there. So that is all primed. Obviously I've not gone absolutely mental on it, just wanted to cover those little bits of areas that were bare plastic, which I've done obviously. So now I'm just going to let that dry. I'm going to re-flat it off with some 600 wet paper, and then obviously see what sort of state we're in then. If it needs re-priming again, I'll re-prime it again. If it doesn't, and we can put some red on. There's a little bit there that's coming off. Just I've missed, but looks a bit of lacquer underneath that. See, this is the problem. Don't get all the lacquer off, you end up with flaking again. So that's what I'm very wary of. So yeah, we'll let that go off. Got the heater on in here. I'm gonna go out and get some air because it's a little bit hazy in here now. Spraying primer everywhere. Yeah, we'll flat it back and see what we got after that, and hopefully we'll be going red next. Lovely jubbly. Right, after a lot of prepping, sanding, rubbing down, panel wiping, all that malarkey, I've now got the bumpers I think where I want them to be now. As you can see, I've got that one hanging off of a bungee cord there, and I've got the front one here hanging off of me rope with a couple of cable ties. So hopefully that will allow me to get right the way round them. I'm going to try and get some red on there now, see what they come out like. Obviously with anything to do with paintwork, prep is the key. Make sure you do as much prep work as you possibly can, because that is the key to a good paint job with any luck. So hopefully I've done enough. Obviously I'm no expert, but you know, you never can tell. So with any luck, there's a little hair in the paint there. Where's that got in there? I need to sand that a little bit down there. But yeah, hopefully I've done enough and it will come out fairly alright. So the next thing you'll see, hopefully, is a pair of bumpers that are red again. Obviously they won't be lacquered yet, but they'll have the base coat at least, so that's a good start. Let's carry on. Right, you would have seen me put the first coat on. I've done about another, I think I've done 3 coats since then. I did run out of paint, so I did need some more paint, but as you can see, they're looking nice and red again. Now they're not lacquered yet. I did have a couple of imperfections that I had to flat out, and then I re-base coated it again in a couple of places. There's still a little tiny mark there, but I ain't worried about that, it's fine. There's the front one, look. As you can see, it's come out nice and smooth. So next thing now is going to be the lacquer. Now this is make or break really, whether it goes absolutely lovely or goes all wrong. So hopefully it will go absolutely lovely and it'll be absolutely fine, but we'll only time will tell on that side of things. So I've got the old 2K in a can lacquer with the ring pour on the bottom you release the hardener into, and most importantly I've got a mask. There's a couple of people when they saw me painting in the last video said I should be wearing a mask because this stuff's not good for you, which you're absolutely right, and thank you for your concern. So yeah, I'll obviously be wearing a mask, same as I did with the base coat. I'm trying to keep the doors closed in here because obviously I don't want dust and stuff blowing in from here, there and everywhere. I mean, obviously there's a bit of a gap around that door at the top there, but I'm trying to minimise the dust, so I'm definitely wearing a mask in here today because it does get a bit smelly. So let's get some lacquer on the go, and fingers crossed this goes how I want it to. Right, the bumpers are drying, as you can see over there, and I've got the headlights off the car, as you can see, and they are very cloudy. Now I have polished these once before, but obviously that doesn't last forever, so they do need re-lacquering. So what I'm going to do is rub them down with some 800 grit wet and dry. I'm going to do it wet, get them all back to a nice uniform matte finish all over, and then we'll give them a coat of that 2K lacquer while I've got some on the go, and that should hopefully make them nice and shiny and bright again and bring the front of the car back to looking absolutely marvellous. Let's crack on. Right, as you can see there, I've got that headlight all rubbed down with some 800 grit wet and dry. Done it wet obviously. It's lovely and smooth. I've degreased it. It's got a nice key all over it now, so I'm going to hit it with some of this lacquer, see what it comes out like. Hopefully it'll be alright. Let me just turn this heater. Blowing directly at it, so a little bit of time to settle. And hopefully, just put a little bit of masking tape, maybe it doesn't matter too much because obviously if it goes on it, you're not going to sit in the way. But let's see what this comes out like. And I've only done one so far, so I can show you the comparison to what it looked like before. Hopefully this will work on plastic alright. Just going to give it a little sort of dusty coat like that for now. See how the shine instantly comes back to it. And I'll leave that to flash off for 5 minutes because I don't want to obviously to pick it up or get any runs, and then I'll go over it with a slightly heavier coat once that's sort of started to go off slightly, so that obviously then the second coat will bind to the first coat nicely, because it won't be completely dry, but it'll be dry enough that it can accept a second coat and not all go wonky. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave that for a minute with some warm air blowing on it gradually, and then we'll give it a heavier coat, and then obviously then I can show you once it's sort of done the difference between this one and the old one. Lovely jubbly. Right, there we go. You can clearly see a marked difference between those two lights. That one on the right has obviously now had 2 coats of lacquer, and it is mega shiny. Looks brand new, absolutely lovely jubbly. And there's the old one, and as you can see, it looks all cloudy, not very nice, and just makes the front of the car look really old and quite dreary. So it hopefully will definitely give the car a nice lift when I've done the paintwork. Well, now I've done the paintwork and obviously these headlights as well. It's quite a simple process with the headlight refurbs, as I say. Literally just flat it down with, I use 800 wet and dry, but did it wet. Just make sure you get off all this cloudiness and this lacquer that's all gone discoloured. Get it all back so it's a nice uniform flatness, as you would have seen before I just lacquered that one, and that is what you end up with after. I'm pretty pleased with the result of that. It should improve the lighting efficiency as well, and it'll just make the car look a lot newer. So that is absolutely superb. I'm really pleased with how that's come out. I was initially going to do some modifications to these headlights, and I was thinking about taking them apart and painting this inside bit red or black or things like that, but they wouldn't come apart very easily. I didn't want to start breaking things, so I just thought, you know what, I'm going to leave it alone and just make them look the best they can as they are. So that is what I've done. So I'm going to get this one done now, and then we can hopefully let all this lot dry and start putting things back together again and get a little C1 back on the road. Top banana. Right, just thought I'd show this in a bit of real time just so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Basically got a little bit of water in a bucket, some 800 wet and dry, and it's literally all we're doing is rubbing it over like that, wet. And you just want to get it so that it's a lovely uniform flat surface the whole way over, so that it's got a nice key for it to, obviously, for the lacquer to bite onto when you lacquer it. You don't want to polish it up again after you've done this. You can polish it up again after, and it will last a little while, but as you saw, they will fade again. So the only way to really hold it back for any length of time is to re-lacquer them. So you just go over the whole thing like that. You'll see you get this like horrible colour water coming off of it. That's obviously the stained part of the lacquer that's coming off with the water there. It's the UV in the sunlight that does this. It just attacks the lacquer after a while, which is why I wanted to use some of that 2K lacquer while I put it on the go, because it obviously will be a bit more hardy, hopefully, than the normal stuff. So that is what we're doing. Just literally going over the whole thing like that. You can see it there, it's nice and flat. Make sure you've got rid of all the imperfections off of it. If it's got any little small stone chips as well, or little divots where the stones have hit it, this is the time to get them out as well. You can sand all those back as long as they're not too deep. It's as simple as that, really. So I'm going to carry on sanding this, just make sure that it is nicely keyed. Sometimes you have to dry it off, have a little look, and then go again, because obviously while it's wet it all still looks shiny. So you need to dry it off, make sure you've got everywhere, all the areas that need doing the most, and then obviously once it's dry, go over a little bit of panel wipe or degreaser, and then you're good to lacquer it. I put a little bit of masking tape around the edge just to cover the black up. Not that it really matters, but I just did that just so it wouldn't look shiny and funny if someone looked under the bonnet more than anything else. Right, I'm going to do this and I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, as you can see, there's our second light all flatted off. It is really matte if you compare it to the one I've lacquered. It doesn't look like it'll ever come back to that, but it will. I think I've got all the manky bits. I might have to do a little bit more down there, actually, looking at it. Yeah, there's a little bit of manky lacquer down there. I'm going to just go over that bit again down the bottom there. And just round that edge, because that bit wasn't very good. That was all brown around there, so I'm going to go over that bit a bit more. Then I'll give it some panel wipe, and then we can get it lacquered like the other one. Come back to you in a sec. Right, we've got that re-sanded on that edge there. It should be fine now, fingers crossed. I'm just getting a little bit of panel wipe to just go over this lens with, to make sure it's nice and clean. Remember, cleanliness is major when you're painting anything bodywork wise or anything really, because the less contaminants you've got around it, the less chance you've got of making a big pig's ear of it. Right, that's panel white. I'm going to get the why are you balancing? Come on. The other one balanced on it, no problem. Don't went near the wall because obviously the brick dust could come off the wall. That'd be alright. Right, get the little heater. Just give it a little. Make sure it's dead dry with that panel wipe. And looking at it now, you wouldn't think that would come back with the lacquer, but it does, as you saw. Right. Let's get this lacquered. Now once again, I'll let that flash off for 5 minutes and I'll go over with a heavier coat, and that should be job's a good one. Top banana. Right, it is the next day. There we go, that is the bumpers. As you can see there, I am pretty chuffed with how these have come out, to be fair, considering it's out of a rattle can. That is a nice finish on that. It does need a little flat and polish once it's back on the car, but I want to leave it a few days just to make sure it's gone properly hard. There's the headlights done. They look like brand new again. Really pleased with how they've come out as well. I didn't think they'd come up that shiny, to be honest with you. So they are really going to give the front of the car a nice facelift. And there's the rear bumper hanging there. And again, I'm really chuffed with how that's come out. It's, considering what it looked like before, it's a vast improvement. So next job now, I'm going to get the grills, which I think are under that sheet there, cleaned up. Get them all clicked back into the bumpers. We need to get the number plates back on, which I'm actually going to screw on this time rather than stick on, because I can't stand stick on plates. I think they're ridiculous. And then we can get all this put back on the car and get it drivable again and looking absolutely marvellous. Let's crack on. I forgot to show, I've done the petrol flap as well. There we go. Nice shine on that. See your face in it almost. You get the right reflection. You can just about see me in it. There you go. So there, that's ready to go back on as well. So that obviously just clips back on. Now when I took that off, I did say it was only these 3 clips that you have to squeeze together. There is actually a separate clip that goes into this hole as well, just so you know. If you ever have to take the cover off the fuel door on a C1, it's got a little plastic clip in it as well, so make sure you pop that out too. Otherwise you'll be struggling to get it off. So there we go. Right, let's get some grills cleaned up and I'll come back to you once we've done that. Right, I'll just show you what I've been doing. As you can see, I've actually used some tape on the back of these plates, but only to get them in the right place. As you can see, they've not been drilled before. So what I've actually done is, you can see with the front one there, I've stuck it on. I've then gone around the back and I've drilled 2 holes in the original mounting holes where they are. You can see those 2 metal clips on there. And then I've screwed them through from the front, but Citroen in their infinite wisdom made the hole so blooming big. I've put those little metal slider clips on the back, so you can't really undo them without holding the back, which is obviously a good security feature as well in theory. So hopefully that will be nice and secure. I'm going to do the same on the back one as well. You can see I've used black-headed screws on there, proper number plate screws, so it'll be nice and secure. And it's got the added tape either end and in the middle as well, so just the same as that. So I'm going to stick this one on the back now, get it nice and level, and then we can screw through from the back. Now one thing you want to make sure if you are drilling plates is some number plates have the letters stuck on the front, or the film stuck on the front I should say, with the letters printed on it, which means you need to drill them from the front. Others, better quality ones like these ones, are stuck on the back. The film is stuck on the back, so you need to drill them from the back, which is obviously to my advantage on this because I need to drill them from the back so I know where the holes are. So make sure when you're putting number plates on, if you do drill them, you drill them the right way, because if you drill them the other way, say for example I drilled this plate from the front, the action of drilling through will push the film off the back of the plate and allow air and moisture and water eventually to get in there, and then the plate will blow. So make sure if you do drill your plates that you drill them from the correct side depending on where you've had them made. This Nickelite reflective sheet I've always found is the best type of plate, and obviously the front is the plastic, so it's nice and strong on the front. There's nothing that can be chipped off the front because the film is on the back. So just bear that in mind if you're buying plates. See if you can get the best quality ones you can. I've always found these ones to be really good. Luckily enough, these are already on the car when I got it. They're the original dealer plates. So there we go. I'm going to get that on there, and then we can start looking at getting these headlights and bumpers back on the car. Right, first thing to go back on the front of the car is the headlights. They're held on with 3 bolts. One here, and one that's under the bumper. It's there. So you've got 3 plugs on the back. Your main headlight, in fact 4 plugs. Your main headlight, your side light, your indicator, and your headlamp leveling motor. So obviously make sure you plug all those back in. I think they can only basically go on one way. They're colour coded as well, so you shouldn't get it wrong in theory. It says. In fact, they aren't colour coded. They just go on where they go on. So let's hope I got it round the right way, because otherwise I'll have indicators flashing on the side lights, which is not ideal. What I'll do, I'll plug this one in and I'll check it, and then I can tell you for sure which ones go where. I think. Why is that not going in? Come on. Might need a little bit of WD-40 on that one because it's a bit sticky. If I rest that headlight in there, you'll be able to see the difference between the two. Look at that. That looks absolutely mega. Brand new. So I'm going to just check those connections. I'll come back to you and tell you exactly which ones they are when we get to the other side. We'll get a bit of WD-40 so that goes on a little bit easier. Right, just give you a close-up of the wiring on the other side. The one that he's got his own little bundle of wiring taped up is the indicator. Obviously this one is your main headlight bulb. This black connector is your side light bulb, and this other one that's a totally different one completely is your headlamp motor. So when I get those plugged in, that one all works fine. I got it right the first time, luckily enough. It's really good now it's bolted in there. So yeah, we'll get the other one in and then get the bumper on. Well, to say I'm pleased with that is the understatement of the year. I am mega chuffed with how that's come out. Now it's not absolutely perfect show quality, all the rest of it. It probably will need a flat and polish. There is a few little dry patches here and there, but on the whole I am mega chuffed with that. Colour match isn't too bad either. It is slightly off, but then they always are because plastic to metal is always off. I've got a little chip I've got to touch up on the corner of this wing, which I have started to do. I quickly rubbed the edge of it back before I put the bumper on so I wouldn't catch the new paint. The headlights look amazing as well. Really chuffed for those too. They look brand new. So that's the front end back together. Now we've got to do the back. Let's carry on. Right, before we put the rear bumper on, just a quick note for you. Make sure if you ever have your rear bumper off on a C1, 107 or Igo, check these vents, because these are a common leak point both sides. Now the seals on mine were hanging out the bottom, but there was nothing actually wrong with them. So what I've done is I've took them all out, cleaned them all up, dried them all, and I've just put a few little dots of super glue around the inside of this housing where that seal sits into, just to hold it in place so it won't fall out again. And as you can see, it's sealing nicely on the rear panel again now. No silicone required. So hopefully, I didn't have any leaks anyway, but obviously that will hopefully prevent it. So I've done both of those already. Rear bumper's now fully built up, as you can see. Somehow I managed to lose one of these lights, but I found it again. So that's there on there with the number plate and the wiring's on the back. So we're ready to get it back on the car and make it complete again. Top banana. Right, there we go. That is the rear bumper back on, looking super shiny. Now it does look slightly off colour, but it's nothing to worry about compared to what it was like. It looks really good. I'm really pleased with it. So that is the back one back on, and the car as usual again now, which is absolutely superb. Now these will need a flat and polish. They have got a few little imperfections in them, which I'm going to try and get out. We'll use a bit of really fine 2000 grit wet and dry to obviously go over them. I'm going to leave them for a few days on the car, and I've resisted washing it as much as I wanted to, because we're going to do a full detail video on it once it's all done. And hopefully once it's all done, once I've machine polished all the quarter panels and wings and everything else, and obviously the whole car, it's going to bring the red up on the car to make it look more like the bumpers with any luck. But I am really chuffed with how that's come out, considering that's out of a spray can. I think you'll agree that's pretty acceptable. Got all them badges out, as you can see. I've lost an E off the Citroen now as well, which I've got in the garage. That came off in my hand the other day when I was looking at it. So yeah, at least it's back on the road again, and it's looking a little bit more presentable. Lovely jubbly. Right then, that is going to be it for this episode of MEC-TEC. The garage is in an absolute state, so that is going to be my next job. I need to have a massive clear up in here now. The C1 bumpers are done. There's another job for this. This year is going to be the year of, hopefully, fingers crossed, completing all of my projects I've got on the go. The van being one of them. So yeah, that is mega. If you do like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button down there and hit the notification bell and the like. Those three things really help me out on the channel. I do really appreciate it. If you do want to have little sneak peeks during the week of what I'm up to, look on Instagram. I've got MEC_TEC 1985, and I have got Facebook as well, MEC-TEC. So if you want to have a look on there, I put random pictures on there of what I'm doing during the week, so you can get little sneak peeks of what the videos are going to be happening in the near future. And all that is left for me to say is thank you very much for watching, and if you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I'll see you again next time. Cheers guys.